to another Monday at 5:55. It's been pretty wild. The energy lately has been really intense, sometimes in a positive way and sometimes in a just really freaking overwhelming way. So lately I have had migraines and hunger issues. I've been so insatiably hungry. It's insane. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, all the things, all the things. So if you want to learn more about the symptoms that you are probably going through right now, then definitely go over to my Instagram and check out my recent post because I really go into all of the symptoms, and hopefully that kind of makes you feel a little bit better about how crazy you might feel right now. So yeah, just an FYI, that is out there. Today is going to be a really great video. I would say that the energy of it is like super motivational. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen, if you have a notebook, definitely this is the video for a notebook, and you're gonna get really inspired. You're gonna get really super pumped up after this. I pumped myself up after writing down all of the notes. And the way that I came about this topic is I just tuned into the masses, as I usually do actually, and I asked, what does humanity need to know this week? And likewise, what do I need to know this week? And this is the info that came through. So it's very empowering, and it'll definitely leave you feeling in tune, as per usual. Now, before we deep dive into nothing to lose and what exactly that means, of course, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I guarantee you're gonna like it. Definitely share this video on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Clip the video. Do the things that you want to do with the video. Get the information out there and really help spread this message to the world. And definitely subscribe if you haven't already, because that kind of just helps me out, and then you get to enjoy all the free content you want. And that's pretty awesome. Two things that I want to make an announcement for. One, I haven't talked about this in a while, but one of my all-time, like literally, it's called a masterclass for a reason. It's called the 3D to 5D Shift Masterclass. It took me about a year to produce and download and channel and create. It comes with a 64-page workbook, and it's 16 weeks long, which is 4 months. If you're looking to shift your vibration out of the third dimension frequency and into 5D. If you've tried everything before, but you still feel stuck, you still feel like you're replaying old habit patterns, then this is the course for you. Okay, so I want to plant the seed to say I've had this out there for a couple of years now, and I'm actually in the process of re-recording it, so all the same content but new audio equipment, which sounds so much better, and then also new graphics just to kind of plus it up a little bit. So you can get the old version right now, and then you can definitely check out the new version of it. But yeah, for anyone who really still feels stuck, and hopefully most of you are like, I've changed my life, if I'm in 5D, or at least I'm on my way, and you don't need that course. I'm hoping that most of you are in that place. But if you're not, and you really need help, and you don't think that maybe a traditional therapist is going to get you there, then I do really truly believe in this course, and the people who have taken it have really changed and shifted their lives. So definitely check that out. And then we've got the Galactic Federation meeting coming up. I can't believe it. It's already here. It's coming up on Sunday, this Sunday, the 11th of September. We're going to be talking about healing trauma, false light agendas, solar flare, future timelines and predictions. We're going to be talking about, and this is something I've never asked the Galactic Federation before, but one of you asked this question about narcissists and psychopaths. I'm so curious what they're going to have to say about narcissists and psychopaths. And then we're also going to talk about the secret space programs and like so much more, but tons of really great questions that honestly I've just never asked before. So that's happening on Sunday. So check it out. And if you can't make it to the live, definitely check out the recording afterwards. And that's it. Let's just dive into it and let's talk about nothing to lose. So, so good. I want to mention I know a lot of you have been wanting to do the, I'm just going to rearrange this piece of hair here. I know a lot of you have been wanting to do the mug, the intuitive mug. I've just been drinking a lot of water lately, so every time it's before, a live video, I'm like, I'm just still drinking water. Like, so it hasn't been an exciting liquid journey for me lately, but yeah, I'll have to bring that back. So watch out for that. Okay, so this is such a key kind of realization and message along your spiritual journey. The biggest thing that I want to start off with, we're going to actually talk about anxiety, attachment. We're going to talk about really just happiness and what true happiness is. And in society, in this society anyway, especially in the Western society, and I think it's different in other places around the world, we are taught that having more stuff creates more happiness. And I remember realizing this lesson around the age of 16. I shut off my spiritual abilities many years before. I went into sports. I went into high school, and I had friends, and I was playing on sports teams. And I was kind of that person who was never really friends with just one or two people. Like I was kind of like in and out of a lot of different friend groups, sort of thing. Like just a little bit of everyone. And I was happy. I had all the things that society told me at 16 I would need to be happy. I had my driver's license, I had a job, part-time job, I was in high school, I was getting decent grades, wasn't great at school, and that's it. And yet, when society tells you, well, you have the fancy car and you have the flashy job and you have the, trophy wife or whatever, that's going to make you really happy. But you get to a certain point in your life, and this is actually a chapter in my book, you get to a certain point and you're like, I have all the things. Why am I not happy? Why am I still questioning? Why am I still unsettled? Why am I still anxious? And so this is what we're indoctrinated to believe, especially in the Western societies. More stuff equals more happiness. And you can really see it in all of the BMW advertisements and the Mercedes and the Gucci's and the Coaches, all the name brands, right? You don't just get a purse, get a $2,000 purse. That's going to make you happier, right? This is what we're led to believe within social media, advertising, marketing, and it kind of makes me sick to my stomach how millions of people all over the world follow other people just because they have money and they're flashing around name brand bullshit material things. Right? And I just don't understand it. Now I don't understand it. But back then, I really believed that that's where happiness was going to come from. So here's the problem, okay? Now, you may not be into name brand things, and I hope that you're not, because I think at a very surface level, we all know that that's definitely not going to bring you happiness. But if you're like me, you probably buy a bunch of shit on Amazon. And if you're like me, you're probably bored every once in a while and you'll just scroll on Amazon, see what Amazon is like Christmas, right? Like packages come in and you open the you don't have to wait for your birthday anymore. You don't have to wait for Christmas anymore. Luckily, my Amazon shopping has decreased lately, which is really nice. But at a basic level, right, we collect stuff. And my wife is very much so a minimalist, and she tells me that I have a lot of tchotchkes, but really they're just a lot of alien stuff and crystals. So I don't know if that like counts as tchotchkes, but there is a lot of stuff on like every surface of our house. It's either Lego, crystals, aliens, or oracle card decks is basically all my tchotchkes. And here's what happens, okay, when we have a lot of this stuff around us. We create more energetic connections and we create more identity attachments. So every item of clothing, every tchotchke, every crystal, every freaking alien figurine that you have, all right, it's you create an energetic attachment to it because it's just around. It's now a part of you. And in a sense, right, we've been taught this ownership. You now own this thing. All right? And so there's an energy there. And what happens is we crowd our space with all of this stuff. We crowd our space with all of these material possessions, and we crowd our energetic reality with a lot of attachment. A lot of attachment and a lot of identifiers. Like for me, it's like Lego and aliens and maybe spiritual stuff, right? And in my life, I guess I don't really know if I identify with Lego, but maybe I identify with the inner child. But those are aspects of our identities. And every time you look at that tchotchke, every time you touch it or you move it to dust or whatever, you're reaffirming that as something that you own, something that you possess, and something that is part of your identity. Um, and as you can probably see where I'm going with this, it creates this. I always think of like Santa's bag, right? It creates this baggage that you're just carrying around with you, just based on the physical things that are in your life. This is why spring cleaning is actually so good for the soul. It's cleansing for the space, but it's really, really good for the soul. Because you're shifting out of these old energies, these old identifiers, these old attachments. Now, maybe you're not a collector. Maybe you don't Amazon shop, all right? I swear my whole wardrobe comes from Amazon, which is so not good, right? Like you should really buy local and like whatever. Um, but think about your friends. Some people are people collectors, right? I used to be a people collector. Why? And I really think about this. Why was I such a people collector? I think because I just really see the uniqueness in every individual person, and I honor that, and I just feel like each person is so special that I want them in my life and I want to see them grow and develop and learn and progress. And so, it got to a point where I would have 60 text messages on my phone, not because one person was blowing up my phone, because I had 40 people texting me every day. I was a people collector. And I thought that that was bringing me happiness because it was this fulfillment of that social connection. What I didn't realize was that it was bringing me a hell of a lot of anxiety. And then when I got my phone stolen from me in Panama, it was basically the biggest shift of energy I could ever ask for. I was so upset about it. And then I realized I don't have to really re-give my phone number out to all of these people who I love. But yeah, I get to pick and choose, right? And now I have like 4 friends, like 4 really close friends. Which is really beautiful. So I want you to also think about the energies that you've collected in your life with relationships. Because even if you have people who maybe you haven't talked to in a while, but there isn't a closure or a conclusion to that dynamic, there's still like this energy that's being siphoned off. Okay? And pets don't count. Pets, I find, are, for the most part, really elevating. Like, yeah, and I guess pets could be like identifiers as well. Like you're a cat person or a dog person or a lizard person or whatever. But it's more so stuff and people that really bring the heaviest amount of energy in our life. So I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions, and this is where I want you to write down these questions because it's going to be so important to circle back around to these questions. After this video, I want you to take a look around your home, and I want you to ask yourself these questions. First question, why am I really hanging on to this? Why am I really hanging on to this? Is it through obligation? Is it through attachment? Is it through, some sort of memory from the past? Why am I really hanging on to this? Second question, how does it improve my life? How does this thing, how does this person improve my life? And one thing that I noticed is there were a lot of people who I collected, okay, and that maybe sound like really awful, but there's a lot of people that I had in my life that I was helping and assisting. And I felt like that was a big part of my purpose, was to help people. And because I wasn't online at the time, that was my version of giving back. But when I asked myself, what am I getting from these relationships, rather than just feeling good about giving back, there wasn't much there. There wasn't much subsistence there. There wasn't a healthy balance there. And so I quickly realized that I had to kind of move forward, and look for relationships where it was a balanced dynamic. Same thing, look around your life, look around your room. What are the things in your room right now? And how are they providing you value in your life? And what I love about crystals, I'm just going to put it out there, is that crystals are always emitting frequency. So in my mind, my justification for all my crystal tchotchkes, as there's a lot of them, is they're always providing some sort of like energy, right? So I'm always personally going to justify crystals. And then the third question is, and this is a really good one, where was I at when I acquired it? Where was I at when I met that person? Where was I at when I bought this item of clothing? And I don't know about you guys, but none of my clothing fits after 2 years of the pandemic and kind of just making excuses to not exercise. So I have a very good excuse for getting rid of a lot of clothes because they just don't fit anymore, even though I hung on to them for a while. Because I'm like, one day I'm going to get fit and fit into this. And it hasn't happened. It's been like 8 months. Where was I at when I acquired this? So I don't want you to think about like location, but where were you at energetically when you acquired that material object or that person? Because a lot of relationships that I find, like romantic relationships, it's like, oh my goodness, all of a sudden we're in two very different places. Well, where were you at energetically, vibrationally, emotionally when you met that person? And have you both progressed together? Or have you been on your journey of progression and they've been kind of stuck in that same place? Right? So you have to really think about, where was I at when I bought that item? Where was I at when I met that person? And where are we at now? Where am I at now? And once again, circling it back around, does this provide me something? Does this provide me value? Is this uplifting my life in any sort of way? And speaking of which, I do the same thing with art too. I always find that art really provides value. Like it provides, kind of this environmental energy. Just like the piece behind me. I didn't do this piece, but it's beautiful, and it really brings me this sense of serenity. But sometimes I will either get rid of my art, I will give it away, or I will change up the art in a room because it changes the energy. And I will move my crystals around a room often as well to switch up the energy or the feng shui, right? Okay, good. So what it comes down to is more stuff equals more attachment. More stuff equals more attachment. More attachment equals more anxiety. Seriously. The more identifiers that you have, the more attachments that you have, the more stuff that you have, the more anxiety you are likely to have. And at this point in time where we're shifting our energy and moving into a higher state, we already have enough fucking anxiety in our life and enough reason to have a freaking panic attack every single day. We don't need more stuff to maintain and to dust and to attach ourselves to and to move around. It's going to feel so good to let go, all right? So the question is, if you had nothing to lose, right? This is what the title of the video is. If you had nothing to lose, you would live every day to the fullest. If you had nothing to lose, you would stop hoarding people, things, and money. You'd stop hoarding them because you would have nothing to lose. If you had nothing to lose, you would be more free. More free and less anxious. If you had nothing to lose, you would create more. Because you would have more space to create more. I'm going to repeat that last one. If you had nothing to lose, you would naturally create more in your life because you would have more space to create more. This is no longer the time to hang on to items of clothing, to hang on to tchotchkes, to hang on to material stuff in your life for sentimental, obligatory reasons. This is no longer the time to hang on to people in your life through obligation, emotional ties, or simply because they've been in your life for a long time. If they're not providing value, if they're not uplifting you, if they're not bringing you joy every single day, then they're holding space, ooh, I get chills, for something even more powerful, for something or someone even more aligned to come into your space and provide excitement and value and inspiration and motivation and abundance. Stop holding space with old energy and for old energy. It's no longer serving you. So there was, I don't even know what a parable is, but that word came into my mind. There was a story that someone told me a very long time ago, and I tried to Google it, and I couldn't find it. So I'm going to try the best I can to tell you this story because it's stuck in my mind for many, many years ever since. The story is of a man who has sand in his hand. Think about sand as abundance, let's just say. Energy, abundance, money, all of that. So you hold out your hand, and you are ready to accept abundance. You're ready to accept energy. You're ready to accept fulfillment. You're ready to accept financial freedom. You're ready to accept that. And the sand pours into your hand. And as it's pouring into your hand, it's piling up. And as it's piling up, it's overflowing and it's spilling out of your hand. And you're so worried that all of this sand is spilling out of your hand that you go like this. And you clench onto it to save and protect that sand, to save and protect that financial abundance or that energy or that freedom. What happens when you close your hand? When you open it again, you have a very, very small amount of sand. You've stopped the flow of sand. You've stopped the flow of abundance coming in. Allow the energy to come in effortlessly and easily. Stop trying to attach yourself to it, because by doing that, you're going to end up with less every single time. I hope I said that story right. I tried to look up like sand in the hand story, and all that Google gave me was like sanding techniques and tips. And so it was just such a facepalm. Okay, I have kind of a last message for you. And the last message is, how do you create a reality where you are in a place energetically where you have nothing to lose? Because it's one thing to say, all right, cool, I'm in a place, I've spring cleaned my house or fall cleaned my house and I'm ready to go. But that's not what it's about. The whole purpose of this video is not about being a minimalist, even though it's so relieving to let go of old energies and let go of old people and let go of old stuff and tchotchkes in your house, right? It's great to do that. But how do we get into a place mentally, vibrationally, where we are so free because we are so unattached and we are at a place where we got nothing to lose? And once again, at that place, you have all the space in the world to create and attract everything it is that you desire. And before we get to that advice, I'm just going to go through the announcements again because we are at the end of the video. Once again, give this video a thumbs up. I see 850 people in and 294 thumbs up. I mean, what's that? It's called a discrepancy. I'm totally calling you out right now, actually. Share this video because I think a lot of people need this video at this time. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and if you're new, welcome. Like, this is awesome, such a great place to be. Check out the 3D to 5D shift masterclass. It is literally life-changing. It truly is. And then definitely the Galactic Federation Summit is happening this Sunday. False light agendas, healing trauma, narcissist, future timelines, secret space program, and so much more we're going to be getting into. I always learn something new, and I always feel so aligned and validated after. So check that out if you haven't already bought your ticket. So let's talk about getting into a place energetically where you've got nothing to lose. I've taught you this technique before, but I have to keep repeating it because I'm simultaneously learning it as I'm teaching it as well. It's not something that you just hear once and you apply. You've got to hear over and over again. Okay, so you don't actually have to let go of everything in order to be happy. You don't have to be a caveman or a monk living in a cave, meditating all day to be happy. You don't. But you can let go of every attachment that you have in your own mind. And here's how you do it. Here's the trick. It's really simple to say, and it's really difficult to apply. Think about the worst case scenario and accept it. Think about the worst case scenario and accept it. So for example, I don't know if I want to give this as an example. I'm going to give it as an example and I'm going to let it go. There you go. My mom recently gifted me this, and I wish I actually had it here to show you, but it is the most incredible crystal bowl. And I know that a lot of antiques and crystal bowls and things, but this one has sacred geometry in it. It's got light codes in it. It's got rainbows all throughout it. It's absolutely stunning. And it was my grandfather's grandmother's crystal bowl. Like, this thing is ancient and gorgeous, and immediately I had this very deep connection with this crystal bowl. Now, immediately, this is just an example, okay? The worst case scenario, right? I'm so worried. I want to bring this back to Nevada. I'm so worried that I might drop it or it might break. What happens when we think about and we worry about the worst case scenario is we end up creating it, right? So what we can do to let go of any worry, to let go of any anxiety you have around the worst case scenarios, which is really where anxiety comes from a lot of the time, is you think about the worst case scenario and you accept it. And by accepting the worst case scenario, you neutralize that timeline. So if I were to think about, unfortunately, dropping the crystal bowl, which isn't going to happen, universe, and I sit with the timeline and the realization of that happening, and the emotions and the reaction and all of the human things come up. And I sit and I observe, and I sit and I observe, and I sit and I observe that timeline. Eventually there will be no emotion. Eventually there will be no reaction. And eventually you'll get to a place with the worst case scenario with any person in your life of people not loving you or not accepting you or not getting you or abandoning you. That's the worst case scenario with people. You think about it, you react, you think about it, you react, but you objectively observe the worst case scenario and the reaction that you have. And the more that you play this scene out in your mind over and over and over again, the less and less you react, the less and less you have an emotional connection, the less and less you have an emotional attachment. And all of a sudden, you are just grateful for that thing being in your life in the moment, and there is zero anxiety, there is zero attachment, there is zero stress or worry about the worst case scenario, because you've already dealt with it. So what I want to really kind of prompt you to do in your life is, do some spring cleaning, for sure, but really think about, focus on the thoughts that you have throughout your day, focus on what brings you anxiety. And what we worry about, we replay in our minds over and over again. So instead of just replaying it in your mind and worrying about it, replay it in your mind, be objectively aware of the worry that you have in this worst case scenario, and replay it consciously long enough so that you no longer have the emotional reaction to the worst case scenario. And what you do is you neutralize that timeline. You never end up creating that timeline because you've neutralized it. And you can move forward worry and anxiety free. Because you're at a point where you've got nothing to lose. Because you're not attached to anything. You can still have stuff without the attachment. And that, my friends, is true mastery of this physical reality. We don't have to be monks who have zero stuff. We're humans. We have stuff and clothes and shoes and crystals and tchotchkes, and that's okay. But work with your own mind. Definitely clear some space in your life, but clear space up here first and foremost. And that is when you're free, and that is when you can create so much more sand in your life. All right, awesome. That's it. That's it, you guys. Thank you all so, so much. I super appreciate you. I will see all of you. We've got some epic videos coming out on the membership platform this week, so I'll see you there. And if not, I will see you this Sunday for the Galactic Federation Summit. So excited to talk to our galactic friends again. Have a beautiful week. If you're hungry, eat food. If you're tired, take a nap. If you're anxious, focus on your mind. And if you feel sad, love yourself more. All right, just listen to yourself and live every day intuitively. I will see all of you in the New Earth frequency. Bye for now.